To another episode of Build Propulsion Lab here live from UberConf 2023. Very excited to have here my long time friend that I didn't see forever, Kito Mann. We met at all kind of strange places like Finland in the winter. Not Finland, it was Sweden in the winter and what's not. But that's our life. Kito, thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
And what are you up those days?
What am I up to these days? I don't know. So I have this little company, Virtua, and we do a lot of consulting. So
I remember in ages ago it was all Java server faces.
Yes,
I guess
yes.
not so much those days.
Well, we do some of that still because if people need it, then we know what we're doing. And lately I've been working with Balky Schultz, who's also another JSF guru.
Okay.
So some of our clients need that kind of work, but also, anything related to Java, backend Java stuff, Jakarta EE, microservices, and also we do front-end stuff too. So we'll work with JavaScript, TypeScript, and Angular, some React.
You really expanded, I have to say.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is great. This is awesome. I saw the talk that you are doing on here in UberConf, and for those of you in the audience who does know, Jay loves us to work for the privilege of being in UberConf. Everybody do lots of talks. I mean, there is Dr. Venkat who does all the talks, but even other people do multiple talks. And obviously you have all the content about enterprise development and enterprise architecture, but also I saw a very interesting talk about getting things done for technologists.
Yes.
What's this is about? Why are you speaking about that?
Well, because I'm a productivity geek. I think that for me it happened like maybe about 15 years ago or so. My wife was sick and needed help, and I needed to manage all of her health stuff. It was one of those like chronic things where no doctor can figure out anything, and you go to see all these different doctors, you fly to places, and then the doctors don't really know anything, and they don't coordinate, all that kind of fun stuff. But I was also working. I was traveling a lot and doing training and speaking at conferences and working, and I just had trouble managing everything. So getting things done is a productivity methodology that's all about keeping track of the things that you have to do, and basically keeping track of them and figuring out what's the next way to move them forward. And then also ensuring that when you have incoming inputs, whether it's email or mail or different people giving you inputs, that you process them in a standard way, and then decide how to handle them. And either you delegate them on somebody, you defer it, you delete it, or you archive it. Put it somewhere as a reference material or something. And I've been doing that for a long time. So it's really helped me be a lot more productive, and it's something I think developers and technologists in general really appreciate, especially because we like to keep lists of things and keep track of things. That's how some people this is not the best methodology for, but for technologists it makes a lot of sense.
So in the end of the day, it boils down my understanding of GTD, and I read the book and kind of the theoretical foundation. It boils down to very clear, appealing, meticulous to-do lists, very tidy, up-to-date, and demanding calendar, and kind of a wiki storage that you can find stuff in it, like just Google Drive with everything else that you might need.
Yeah, or like I use Evernote a lot. I use them for different things.
Yeah.
And most people that use some sort of task manager.
So, but at the end of the day, it's a to-do list, right? And then there are two types of tasks, the one that are time bound, and then it's a calendar entry, and the ones that you go through like the list of priorities, what you need to do, and that will be like your to-do list.
Right. But the thing is, and what to me is the clincher, and it took me a long time, many years to start doing this regularly, is to do the weekly review. So the key is you put all the stuff in your trusted system, right? You put it somewhere where you know you can refer to it and it won't go away, right? But if you never look at it, it doesn't really help because you'll still be wondering what's in it. So the idea is that you get things that you're thinking of off your head into your system, and then every week you actually sit down and look at all of your system. You look at the tasks that you had scheduled to do. You look at the projects that you had allotted for yourself, and you look at upcoming events in your calendar, stuff like that. What that allows you to do is, number one, get rid of crap that you don't really need. So you thought you were going to do this thing, but you don't really need to. You look at your projects, and a project is just anything that requires more than one step to complete. So you can have lots of projects, coming to UberConf was a project, getting your car fixed is a project. So obviously larger projects can exist as well. But so for each one of those things, you look at them, you're like, okay, well, do I know what the next thing is to move it forward? Because not knowing how to move it forward really is what stresses people out.
This is where the procrastination lies,
Exactly.
right? You have a to-do item that your monkey brain cannot jump to understand what it needs to do immediately.
Exactly.
So now you need to think about it. Instead, you are going to check Twitter.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, it's like, the next task can really be just do some more research to figure out what the next thing is.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, but they need to be very actionable. So when you have a minute, instead of like, okay, I have 5 minutes and I don't really know what it means, instead I'm going to do something else, it should be like really simple, hey, do this. And then whenever you have time, you actually go ahead and do this.
Exactly. And what's cool is that if you when you keep track of a task, if you keep track of like the context, like where you can do it, then you also have that additional sort of data point to help you determine what you can do when. So let's say you have 5 minutes, right? And let's say you're here. Let's say you have your phone, but not your computer.
Yep.
So that automatically limits the sets of things you can do. Things need to be done in 5 minutes or less that only require your phone or something else.
And you can group your to-do lists so you will be able to filter by those. It's almost like tags.
Exactly.
And then when you are here and you have 5 minutes and you're mobile, you actually only look at the task that you can achieve in 5 minutes on the mobile.
Exactly. And I keep track of the estimated time too. So I can sort by time.
Yeah.
So,
So, no, that's. I mean,
I can go on and on for a long time.
Yeah, I guess so. First of all, there is like book. There are books, but there is like the book about it that.
It's called Getting Things Done.
Getting things done. Yep. A lot of stuff's come from there, and there is like an entire industry of people who help other people to get organized this way.
Exactly.
And the results are indisputable. The results are there, and but it does take a lot of discipline to force yourself into the habit of doing that.
And yeah, it's like anything else. If you don't do it consistently, it doesn't doesn't work.
You can take some of it and then just kind of scale it down to whatever works for you.
Exactly. And I think that's what's great about any like methodology. This is true for like programming methodologies too. Like,
Scrum is right there.
Yeah, it's like Scrum. What is Scrum anymore? It's whatever people decide it should be for their organization.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's the same idea.
Now, your talk is it like a general introduction to GTD, or there is a twist for technologists in it?
There's a little bit of, it's a general introduction, but I do, number one, I give a lot of examples that are relevant for technologists. And then I also sort of tie it back to things like issue trackers or basically task managers. Some people actually someone in the audience, even someone else that I know, Ed Burns, who's used to work for Oracle, they use issue trackers for the personal lists, which you can do. You could use a Trello or Jira or whatever you want.
I think using Trello for family task list and then sharing it with family members is something that is quite popular among technologists. Yeah, I think Tim Berlin, does the same. Maybe I'm mistaken in confusing him with someone, but I know people that actually do that. So yeah, it's not out of the question. And speaking about you doing so many things and like being able to do them all, there is another side project that I would love to hear more about. So what are you up to?
So basically, I actually bugged him one day and said, "Hey, I got this idea I want to run by you. I want to get your input on it." So that's where his work is coming from. But so for many years, I've been going to conferences and speaking and stuff and meeting great people like you. But I've never been a developer advocate. I've always been sort of just an independent person that does a lot of speaking and training and stuff like that. But I know a lot of people who are developer advocates and a lot of people that are like me that just do a lot of this stuff. And every year, I'm always dealing with all the sessions that I want to have and kind of trying to keep track of them. I need to keep track of where I've submitted them. I need to keep track of where they've been accepted. And also, I often want to keep track of previous sessions and like where I gave it, where all the YouTube links are, where you can find demos, all sorts of metadata associated with it. And I've been doing this for a long time in Evernote. And actually, and also when you do this work, for those of you who don't know, when you have to submit to a conference, there's a process, right? You got to go to some website. There's a few different ones you end up going to. You got to log in, then you got to upload your session information, and you usually end up cutting and pasting stuff. So there are some services that have your sessions already, but those don't work everywhere. So it's just a bit of work. The other thing is that when you want to share with someone information about a session, where do you go? You either go to Sessionize, which is the site that does sessions and actually runs your conference as well. But that's really the only place. There's a couple other places. So what I'm working on is a tool called SpeakerTrax, TRAX.com, that basically allows people to keep track of the sessions they're working on and the sessions that they've delivered, they're planning to deliver, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah.
Yeah, so me as a developer advocate, I feel the pain, obviously, right? And you're spot on. This is all... Now, there are ways to do all that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's just all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So we use tons of different tools. We use Sessionize and we use what is called paper call for CFPs.
Right.
And then there are conferences that don't use any of those platforms and use either something homegrown or even, God forbid, Google Forms or something terrible like that.
Yep.
And then this is like for submission, and also sometimes, like in Sessionize, you can also have your speaker profile. But there are also like 3 different other speaker profile websites that you kind of think, do I want to be on them or not? Is there anyone kind of look at that? And then they're obviously all out of sync in the end of the day, right? And then there is like, hey, where do I publish the show notes of my previous sessions, because there are links and videos and the slides. Do I have a platform for that? And there is, but it's disconnected from the conference that you really went to. So there is a lot of fragmentation in those tools, because I don't think any of them was kind of envisioned as a holistic tool for doing developer advocacy and public speaking.
And I've talked to a lot of people, and like everyone has some different way of doing it, but there's no easy way to do it. It's all sort of like, hodgepodge. So I'm hoping to build something that just makes it easy to manage this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of other areas that we can go into as it grows.
All right, so I want to add the URL right here so people will see it when they watch the video. Is Speaker Tracks.
Yep.
With A or without it?
AX.
AX.com.
Yep.
Here we go. All right.
And actually, can you add one more?
Oh, yes.
All right. And also, if you want to see an example of what a speaker profile looks like, it would be KitoMann.com. KitoMann.com. That's it.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. So
And you can see it right in front of you, right here, the website, speakertalks.com, and an example is kitoman.com. You can go play with it, take a look if you like it, and then
sign up for beta.
yeah, sign up for a beta. And also there is, you can always approach Kito with questions and suggestions and what's not.
Exactly.
And yeah. So that's exciting. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Our developer relations community appreciates it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Glad to
Thank you,
help.
folks, and see you in the next episode.